And good evening. My name is Dara Munson, and I am very honored and humbled to serve Chicagoland as the first African American woman president of Family Focus. I just have to start by saying how full I am this evening to see everybody in this room, the energy, the positivity, the support for our mission, the love for each other, and most importantly, the love and the care for the children and the families that we are honored to serve every day. Thank you to our sponsors and to each one of you for being here this evening. Whether you have supported Chicago Child Care Society or Family Focus in the past, you are very well versed in our theme of honoring generations of service. When I think of honoring our generations of service, the list of families that have served this great city is long and distinguished. Many of you know Bernice Weisbord, who happens to be 99 years old this year, who founded Family Focus. And I just ask you to take a moment and look around this room at what has manifested from her vision in 1976. If she were here today, she would be thrilled and excited. We send her our love, and we speak to her often, and she sends her greetings to you as well. After I came to Chicago from my hometown of Detroit, affectionately known as the D, I soon learned about the many families that have supported this organization and this city. The Carr family, Peggy and her son Tom, the Parsons family, Lorraine and her son Robert, the Judy and Philip Block family, the Steinman family, and the Weisbord family, and the Irving Harris family. And tonight we add to that list with the McCormick Levifield family and the Rogers family. And we appreciate all of these families for their generations of making meaningful and lasting contributions for the greater good. The most impactful legacies we know are created by families who care deeply about the broader community and who pass that power of caring on to their children and their grandchildren to keep building a better community. Each generation must ask itself a few questions. What do families need, not to just survive, but to thrive? What do children need? And more importantly, what do children deserve? And what is the best way for us to meet families where they dream? In many ways, the pandemic, George Floyd's murder, and the subsequent civil unrest confirmed things we already knew, but because COVID-19 was in our faces every minute of every day for quite some time, the effects of the pandemic have illuminated a red-hot spotlight on so many structural and systemic inequities, and we as a collective now have a little bit more understanding than we did in 2019, and families have new challenges that need to be addressed post-COVID-19. The communities where Family Focus centers are located are largely populated by Black and brown families, immigrant families, we're in underserved neighborhoods, segregated communities with under-resourced schools, food deserts, and high crime rates. And I paint that picture not to disparage anyone that we are honored to serve, but to share with you the reality that the individuals who trust Family Focus and come to our doors face every single day. Though all of Chicago saw a decline in life expectancy after the first year of the pandemic, Latinx communities saw the biggest decline of 3.2 years, followed by 2.1 years decline in our Asian Pacific Islander communities and 2 years for African Americans. In the last 8 years, all groups lost life expectancy, with the life expectancy gap between whites and Latinx reversing. Latinx people's lives, expectancy life is now 4 years less than whites and 7.2 years less than just 10 years ago. And the gap between black and white life expectancy has widened from 7.2 to 10 years. And I think it's important to note that the life expectancy for African Americans is perpetually low. It is always the lowest, of any other racial and ethnic group, and it has dropped to under 70 years for the first time since 2012. Of note, the top 5 drivers of black-white life expectancy gap in 2020 was chronic diseases, COVID-19, and other infectious diseases, opioid overdose, gun-related homicide, and infant mortality. And I share these numbers to paint the picture and to make this point that these numbers are dramatically unacceptable. Early on in the pandemic, the state of Illinois was leading the nation in understanding that child care was a critical part of getting essential workers back on the job. Illinois and a few other states started to subsidize early childhood education providers with dollars from the American Rescue Plan Act, making child care for low-wage families a priority. While in-person center-based learning continued with some disruption and interruption due to classes and centers closing and reopening based on outbreaks, Family Focus was able to provide a safe and nurturing place for families to bring their children every day for care, learning, education, and nourishment. And I have to share, pre-pandemic, I was able to go into classrooms and spend time with our children and read to them and roll on the floor, whatever exercises they were doing that day. And I have so missed the opportunity to be with our little ones. But we have been able to provide these services through our teachers, our early childhood education staff, team members are the real superheroes. They have been in the classroom since August of 2020, every single day. Please give them a round of applause. It is important to note that our early childhood education work is also delivered in the home, where parents and families are most comfortable. I had the opportunity to speak with one of our parents a few weeks ago. Cynthia Avalos is a parent in our home visiting program at our Nuestra Familia Cicero Center. She expressed how grateful she was for Family Focus and her doula and her home visitor. She shared with me that because of her doula for her 3rd child, she was able to get very critical questions answered, and she knew that she had an advocate that would help her deliver safely her baby boy, who is now 2 years old and is thriving. Cynthia shared with me that she is excited to transition from our home visiting, which are virtual, some of our visits are virtual now, back to the center. She is excited to interact with other parents and for her child to see his home visitor in person so that he can experience the family-focused designed activities firsthand. She said that she didn't know what she would do to make it through the pandemic if it were not for Family Focus. Her home visitor delivered diapers, formula, which we know today is in short supply, also unacceptable. Gift cards, gas cards, and helped her tremendously with everything that she needed. She told me her home visitor is always there to help her out. And she additionally appreciates learning in our parent workshops, though they are virtual. Her 4-year-old, who was also in our home visiting program, is now in pre-K, and she attributes his success as a 4-year-old, to his work with Family Focus. Cynthia is on our Parent Ambassadors group. She's working with us on strategic planning. And she is looking forward to, again, returning to center so she can be around other parents, which, as we see here, is really evident when we think about the importance of a peer network. She asked me to share with you that she wishes that Family Focus had more capacity to serve more families. She is a wonderful recruiter for us. Her word of mouth is tremendous. And she wishes that other families could work with Family Focus to have the same benefits that she and her family has. She is a shining example of what an engaged parent participant turned advocate looks like. At the same time that Illinois was committed to keeping child care centers open, the early childhood workforce saw a sea change. A vast majority of early childhood workers have left the field completely. They are tremendously exhausted. The majority of our early childhood team members are women of color, caring for 2 and 3 generations of family members in one household. The pandemic's impact on their job and families was staggering. Family Focus has 2 large preschool centers, one in Hyde Park and one in South Shore. They were only virtual for about 5 months of 2020. The effect on our employees has been unbelievable. We have seen high turnover, teachers again leaving the field altogether, increased use of sick days and for family care and self-care, and extreme stress with both firsthand and secondhand COVID-related traumas. As an early childhood education and development leader, Family Focus has advocated with the City of Chicago for the collective good of our team members with other agencies. We are looking for higher wages, career advancement, easier paths through education and credentialing. Those are all essential for us to recruit and retain a skilled early childhood education workforce. Hence, care for our team members who care for our children and families in our communities is a pillar of our to-be-revealed strategic plan. We have another board meeting. The board has to vote it in, but I'm pretty sure we'll get that support. Similarly, the pandemic has laid bare to the urgent needs of young people. From burnout in virtual classrooms, isolation from their peers, the stress of an uncertain world, excuse me. Our youth are suffering from depression and anxiety at unparalleled rates. Parents are fighting extreme backlogs of clinical and hospital mental health resources to get help for their children. Family Focus after-school programs will be addressing these crises by increasing our social and emotional support and evaluation for more acute service referrals. We are working closely with school leadership, social workers, and counselors to monitor youth who need more support, both emotionally and academically. Our after-school programs are on the front line of addressing the crisis caused by the learning gap due to COVID-19 interruptions in the classroom. We are a fervent supporter and partner with our school leaders and working alongside our parent mentors. I had the honor of speaking with two young women in our after-school program in Evanston, a sixth grader and an eighth grader. And they both shared different ups and downs and realities that they dealt with due to the pandemic, from being being excited about working on school from home, but then also missing their peers and friends. One of our young women shared, and she reflected on her attitude during the pandemic. She actually said to me she's no longer bad-mouthing people, and her attitude has gotten better, and she's no longer fighting, which I think is wonderful for her to, at her age, to realize that she needed to work on being more positive. And in fact, she was honored to share that she's made the honor roll twice during the pandemic, and with the help of Ms. Joanne, who runs our after-school program in Evanston. She is very excited, and she shared with me that Ms. Joanne is like a second mother. The other young lady, a sixth grader, told me that she has had a really rough time during the pandemic. She expressed that she is painfully shy, and she did not work on her schoolwork as she normally does. One of her key goals is to gain confidence, and she's working on that during her time in our after-school program. And this was last Friday, which is important. My time with these young ladies was precious because I realized that they are at such a pivotal phase in their social and emotional development. While I was refreshed by their energy and their potential, and spent time sharing with them how beautiful they were and how they should be proud of their beautiful brown skin. And to the young lady who was painfully shy, I asked her what's her superpower, and she said, I care about people. That's my superpower. I said, I got a job for you. You can actually do some good work caring about people. And not more than 24 hours later, 10 individuals who looked just like those little girls woke up to go grocery shopping at the only grocery store in their town in Buffalo. And simply because of their brown skin and their blackness, they did not go home that evening. The family-focused mission is grounded in anti-racism and social justice for this very reason. For those young ladies that I spoke with, and countless others, whose parents and families, much like my own did for me, are raising them to be bold and brilliant and to live out loud. Paradoxically, some of these parents, specifically African-American parents, are also training our children to be off the radar and sometimes invisible in certain aspects of life because of the perpetual hate based on race and ethnicity that we see playing out every day. We all naturally desire safety and security and the ability to live fully and freely in our chosen neighborhoods. We all want to feel home. And for some, family focus is that home. How many in this room, at some point during the pandemic, had a hard time getting a COVID test or felt frustrated trying to get your 2 vaccine doses and/or your booster, waited for a long time for a doctor's appointment, or worse, couldn't say goodbye to a loved one dying in the hospital? Now I ask you to imagine all those things, but you are new to this country, you are an immigrant who understands or speaks very little English, with no extended family, no one to trust, living in fear, and not feeling safe. In addition, this country is in a period of very high anti-immigrant rhetoric and hyper-enforcement of immigration laws. This has been the perfect storm of experience for people coming to Family Focus, to our welcoming centers. Even as we now watch in horror the displacement of millions of Ukrainians, we cannot turn our backs on immigrants and communities in Chicago right now, no matter where they come from. Family Focus will be there, always committed to helping families establish themselves, seek a path to citizenship, and feel safe and supported in their chosen home. Someone very special to me often reminds me to be safe and be happy. So I'm always committed to silver linings. And what we do recognize through the pandemic, that it has not been all doom and gloom. We were committed and we were able to finalize a very historic merger between two dynamic, long-standing organizations last year. Many have asked how the merger is going, and I'm very happy to share that we are standing strong. We are celebrating a team of nearly 400 individuals delivering services that I just talked about from 11 community-based centers through 26 distinct programs to almost 10,000 individuals every year through Chicagoland. There are about 330 people in this room tonight, and we are all connected by hand and by heart to be of service in the most deliberate and impactful way. I have witnessed partnerships among social and human service providers in the last 2 years that I have not seen in my nearly 30-year career. We are truly the critical thread in the fabric of society. You can expect the same rigor and impactful programming from the new Family Focus, but with a refreshed emphasis on deepening family success, child success, centering equity in all we do, creating a formidable and financially strong organization with a keen investment in the Family Focus team members. We will continue to advocate tirelessly for the upward social and economic mobility for all of those we are honored to serve. Many hands, heads, and hearts linked together with a common goal to sustain organizations like Family Focus. And for that, we are very thankful. A few recognitions, and I'm closing. I talked a little bit about our team members, and I have to say, I am humbled, impressed, in admiration of, and forever grateful to the individuals who come to Family Focus every single day to deliver high-quality services. And I would like to ask all of our team members standing here tonight to please stand so that you can be recognized by our guests tonight. I'll point you out. Thank you. Amazing team members. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to ask our all-female executive team to please stand up so you can get another round of applause. A dynamic group of women. We are also supported and led and guided by a fairly new board, leaders from both legacy organizations who led the way through due diligence to make this merger happen in the pandemic. I have to always remind myself we did it in the pandemic, and have been a huge source of support and guidance for our staff. So if our board members could please stand so that you can be recognized.